Now Adnan makes a cut, gets looked off, gets looked off, gets looked off, looked off.
And we're here for week 4 of the Lookoff, where rules are arbitrary and can be changed at any time. Joining me today, as always, Libby Lemon.
Glad to be here.
Joe Mama.
I don't know if I'm glad to be here, but I'm here.
And this week's special guest, Jackie Matonis.
Hi.
We're going to go through the games pretty quickly this week because...
Someone's been slacking.
Well, yeah. This is a pre-video podcast, so we're going off memory. I was mildly drunk.
I left after my game, so...
Cole and I were pre-gaming, which means had at least 6 beers before our 11 o'clock game. We kind of
Explains a lot. That explains a lot.
So everyone here came for the in-depth analysis of what happened. A week where half the league, it seemed, was missing. None of the games were interesting at all.
Even though a lot of them were close.
The first 3 games, well, 2 of the first 3 games, uninteresting. It didn't matter. It was pickup central. So let's just start off. Tina finally got a win, 16-14 over Felipe. Does anybody Did anybody watch this game?
No.
Yeah, I watched it. I was filming a little bit, so I remember it a little bit. I mean, obviously, like you said, there were a lot of pickups in this game. Both teams missing a few case guys. I think Tina's team finally was able to get some offensive flow. They had really been struggling to kind of string more than 1 or 2 passes together before stalling out and like Libby mentioned last week, stall count getting high, disc kind of staying in one spot, but I don't know if they changed up what they were running on offense or if it was just the help of some extra personnel. But
Young G.
Yeah, Young G
undefeated.
Well, no. He's undefeated until he plays in our game 2 hours after Tina's game. And then, unfortunately...
Bad career move.
Yeah, the curse is real. But, yeah, I think that was a big takeaway. So if they can keep some of that momentum going forward, then maybe they can, keep a few close games, maybe pick up another win. But... it was, there were a lot of pickups in that game, so it is what it is.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell, to take anything away from it. Not sure if Timmy's coming back either, which is a big difference maker for Timmy, or for Tina.
Yeah, but at that point, if she's able to just pick up somebody as a permanent replacement, then maybe it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this game, kind of uninteresting. Both these teams can make the playoffs, but both of them only have 1 win, so a lot of other things would need to happen, I think. I don't know that winning out locks either of them in.
I think Abby Chang had a huge game, and I think she hadn't had quite as much of an impact through the first 3 weeks when you compare to last year being, at an MVP level, basically. So seeing her kind of score a bunch more and be a much bigger part of the offense, I think was cool, especially after getting her All-Star MVP the week previous.
Yeah. I think Griff's been playing super well. And on Tina's team, it seemed like Matt was playing really well. I feel like I watched him.
He did get scored on by Tokar, which is Easy's favorite. Easy's favorite thing ever.
All right, are we good with this game?
Yeah, let's... Yeah.
In what was the most exciting game of the night?
Oh, my God.
Lynch beat Libby 12-11. Libby, what were your takeaways?
I felt a lot like Joe felt the previous week. And after the game was over, I just wanted to face down in the turf. Our team was pretty debilitated with pickups or lack of people, and had to pick up a lot of people last minute as well. But that being said, I was really impressed with how everyone played. I think we were able to put a lot of pressure on Lynch's team that they'd maybe not seen yet. I think Nickel was really able to take Zoe out of the picture a little bit more than what other teams had done, and I think that was able to slow Lynch's offense down.
JT was also able to take Corey out of that game.
There
was a
were,
rough one.
Unfortunately, I'll say that there were some pretty rough plays, I think, on both sides, and I think that's something that has been brought up a couple times by a couple different people. I know to me, and just that some of the men in the league have been making some plays that we don't really like to see, and so it was. I know for me, playing in that kind of game, that gets frustrating. But yeah, man, we were right there. I thought we were gonna do it.
Yeah, I'll say it was the first.
Brad was nervous.
It was the first night of Winter League that I was nervous, and I was tired. I was just tired that game. Eric, it feels like, again, I haven't watched the videos, so I only have my memory to go off of. It feels like Eric bailed us out near the end, maybe with a little help from Potts.
A lot of help from Potts.
He threw that, I think it was 112-yard backhand from the back of the end zone that we ended up catching for a score. One of our last scores, maybe the game.
Is this Lynch's layout?
No, Winch's
one to Corey.
It was one to Corey.
Yeah, I think that was the last one.
Winch's gratuitous layout where he could have just taken one more step, but he had to make a show of it. It was his second worst layout of the night.
It won't go in the top 10. I'll make sure of it.
Possible playoff matchup. Lynch, the only team to secure a playoff spot 4 weeks in. They have the tiebreaker over all the teams that could possibly tie them at this point, even if they lose out. So they're in the playoffs. Libby's team looking to make a run for the playoffs.
Heck yeah.
Is she going to say no to that?
Well, I just want to make sure that it's on the record that the only reason Lynch's team won was because they were too scared to let a drunk Evan Howie pick up last minute when Libby was desperate for someone to pick up because 3 people that you didn't know weren't going to show up didn't show up. And Eric was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. I'm not scared. And Lynch was like, I don't know, I'm kind of scared. And he should have been, clearly. That game, in my mind, it's a win for Libby. But obviously, Lynch is the commissioner.
Yeah.
Lynch is the commissioner, so it doesn't really matter anyways.
In your mind, a win for Libby. In the record books, a loss.
I'll take it.
I'll say the most disappointing part of that game was Eric didn't play in that cardigan, that sweater.
Yeah. Man, Lynch's team, they really were flaking all over the place. Wouldn't let the last minute pick up, wouldn't play in the cardigan.
They're scared.
And yet, they made the playoffs.
I'll show them.
Yeah, but at what cost, Brad?
All right. Any other takeaways from this game?
Nope.
Perfect. Game 3 was Andrew versus Iris. Andrew won 14-12, and I guess I use Andrew pretty loosely since he and half the team wasn't there. So, Joe?
Congratulations, Orange. It was a good game. Good job. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I got nothing else.
Did anyone else here watch that game?
No.
It was during my game.
Yeah, I walked away.
All right. Let's move on then.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Oh,
Iris,
so close.
Iris is missing half of her team. 7 people, 8 people.
Sure.
Something like that. And who did Andrew pick up for himself? Kennelly. Who else is on his team?
They picked up
guys?
Griffin. That's all I remember. Griffin had his best game of the season thus far for the team playing against us, obviously, because that's how it goes with the Iris curse.
Speaking of Iris, she had my favorite catch of Winter League over Sharon. I hope that'll make the top 10 plays, but it was amazing.
it was great. I really floated that one up there. Really made her look good.
Yeah, that one sat for a long time. Someone should have Gornadoed a beer. Well,
yeah, let's move on. Let's move on from that one.
Let's not yet move on. I just want to make sure everyone's aware that Iris can still make the playoffs, but I think in order for that to happen, well, they definitely need to win out. And I think Gurgit needs to lose out, and then basically every other of the 12 remaining games needs to go a certain way. So the chances are slim, but I believe in miracles.
Not all hope is lost.
Yeah, hope springs eternal joy. Keep that in mind.
Thanks, Brad.
Game 4, which was lost to history. Gurgit played Jackie in the matchup of the league so far of the season, and Gurgit ended up winning 14-9. Jackie, want to walk us through it, play by play?
Play by play. Let's see. The first one, I missed the reset. The second one, I missed the reset. I think this game sucked.
You had that great layout, though.
Then I dropped it.
Okay.
There's a nice little turf burn. You can't see it, but
Nice.
It's there.
We'll use that as a thumbnail for this week's episode.
This game was this was rough for my psyche. I don't know if anyone watched, but I was not a happy camper on the sideline. Came down to 3 things, I'll say. 1, execution of throws for my team, clearly. Everyone, myself included. 2, Gurgit their team was pretty good. Obviously we know they're good, but we normally throw what you might not even call a defense. But, we just kind of run out there and try and do some crazy stuff, and it has been kind of working. People are like, what are they doing? We only know how to play offense against people who play a regular defense. And Gurgit, we broke them, I think, once, and then they figured it out immediately. They could place the throws wherever they wanted, and it was probably up to me to change something after that, and then I didn't. So that was the second thing. And there was a third thing that I thought of that I can't remember now. But yeah, those were basically the huge things about that game.
Was it the 6 beers that you and Cole had?
Oh, yeah. Well, I wish I could say that was a factor, but that's like Cole every week, so no matter what happens. It's fine. We needed to go down earlier in the season, so that way, we would
come back stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Iris is doing.
The revenge tour starts now.
Yeah, it seemed like Gurgit's team finally was the team to kind of capitalize on your turnovers, where
some bullshit
earlier in the season you could get it back, but they were playing a little crisp.
Yeah.
Were they missing anyone, or was both teams full squad?
We were missing Danu, which actually that was my third thing.
Okay.
Danu is like the heart and soul of my team, in my opinion, and only my opinion, probably. But whatever. I think they were full squad.
Yeah, they were either. I don't think they had any case guys, so if they were missing anyone, it was.
I think Stitch might have stopped playing.
Are you kidding me? I didn't even
early.
notice.
He was playing it at some point for sure. Okay. When I walked by,
I thought I remembered talking to him on the sideline, but it could have.
He definitely played at least a few points, and I was not happy.
Yeah, they got a lot of good throwers on that team, especially when Stitch is playing.
That's the thing. We leave open one little spot that we don't think someone's gonna throw to, and they're like, nah, blading it, and we were like, that wasn't really in the plan.
Yeah.
So they're good. It's decided.
You win some, you lose some.
They're good, but still haven't made the playoffs.
No,
officially.
They haven't locked up those playoffs yet. Libby, anything from this game?
Well, I didn't watch it. I will say that, and we have talked about some of White's kind of more loose, almost zone looks on defense, and how I think some of the other teams just have taken too long to be able to figure out how to capitalize on it. So it makes sense hearing that, especially, if Stitch is on the field, players that can really place the disc, they can kind of run train on that.
Joe?
No, I got nothing. What little of the game I actually saw, I had other things on my mind at that moment. So, not much retention there.
All right. Well, I'm good to move on. I mean, I kind of watched that game, but not a lot of it. By the time I moved over there, I think they were already up.
Quick shout out to everybody that, had a chance to grab the camera and film the first half of that game, but didn't, even though the camera was right there by the stairs.
Wasn't there a battery issue?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe the batteries were with the other camera, but I mean, I don't think anyone tried until Lynch did with 25 minutes left in the game. And then he ran and got me right after my game when I wasn't really in the mood to think about it. But
so we can all put that on Lynch.
Yeah, for sure.
We can
Lynch
put it
had
on
the
Lynch.
2 worst plays of the night. Like I said before, playoff race still wide open. Everybody can make it. Only one team is locked.
Wide open.
Wide open.
You hear that, Iris?
I believe in Iris. Maybe not this week or the week after or the week after that. In general, in life. So that was this last week's games. Jackie, we brought you on because we want to have guests on. And as a first-time player in Cleveland Winter League and a first-time captain, we were really interested in getting your thoughts. So any big takeaways? What do you love? What do you love about Winter League?
Wow. Well, I just love the people and the playing. It actually is wild how serious it is, but like in a not... I can't figure it out. I can't tell if this league is incredibly competitive and serious or if we're like, no, we're just having a great time, but we like to talk about it all the time. Or like, I don't know. But the fact that there's a stat sheet and I can watch my film later is like some of the happiest and saddest moments of my week. It's really cool. I think I've only played in Columbus, and it's like a really hard decision whether you take a game seriously or not because no one's supposed to take it seriously there. Like technically we have a competitive league, but like if I made playing time anywhere, if we didn't go to the exact rotation of playing time, then people are talking about it afterward that you're like the worst person in the world and not fair. Which I don't even know I don't know the vibe here. I haven't figured it out. But I have a feeling that someone was like, yeah, we have O and D lines. And I was like, wow, we do not. I'm figuring it out still, but it is, it's a lot more fun, and it seems to consume my week a whole lot more.
Busy for the work week.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's busy season for me right now at work, but I an hour, I'm like, let's watch some film of every single person's game, and then again, probably. Yeah,
the collective productivity of
the Winter League
Cleveland Ultimate players at work is plummeted through March.
Yeah, at my last job, I would literally watch the film and be on Reddit for 6 hours of the day. And at a certain point, I was just like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I feel bad.
I'm just gonna be it for I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'm gonna attempt to do work for those last 2 hours.
And this was going to be the year that I took a step back and didn't get really involved in it. But Joe and Louie can attest to the fact that all day during work, all I'm doing is on Google. Chatting with people.
Yeah.
I hope no one listens to this. Have you played in any other leagues that have been 3-3? That's been a big push for us this year, so we're just curious how that looks to, I don't want to say an outsider, but somebody new coming in.
I've only ever played in leagues that were male dominant in some way. Honestly, I think might have said earlier before we were chatting, but I think the last one I was in Columbus was 5-2. Never have I played in a league that was equal men and women. I think it's generally a numbers thing, but I think every year you try and do it, but it just doesn't work out. I think it's cool that it is definitely a push here. I don't know. And if we check the stats, I think you can see that maybe my team has gotten the most 3 points. Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have those stats ready at this point.
I don't.
It's ridiculous.
Maybe
you guys
at
are
some
the
point.
worst.
I think
it might be us.
Your Jackie, Iris, and Lynch, I think, are the 3 teams that have done it the most.
I would guess we've gone 3-3, at least 85% of our points.
Oh, damn.
And then I believe Tina, the first game, didn't do it at all, and then the second game did every point. So I don't know where they've averaged out to.
A lot of people didn't do it that first week, though, I think, as much as more recently, Except your team.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that first week.
We did talk about
how, your team having a lot of players that were new to the league and, you kind of just going for it and, because obviously the 3-3 is what we hope each team is striving to do.
Yeah.
And how a lot of the other captains, I think, were a little bit more hesitant to like understand, okay, what the strategy is here, and which it's again, we had kind of talked about it before about how ideally we can get to the point where it's not like what makes the most sense 3-3 or 4-2 for how our team can perform the best, but it's just we're going 3-3 because that's the format that we want to run the league in. But I think I have a feeling that with it getting more into the college season, I think we're probably going to hear more college absences in the second half of the league. I am worried or I would imagine that we might see a little bit more 4-2. I know this past week with Lynch and we both were running 4-2 pretty much the whole time based off of numbers.
We had 3 women.
Mm-hmm. So once you start, missing a good chunk of women for, whether it's the Case women or the Oberlin women or both, I think that things will struggle a little bit more.
I didn't even realize we were both going to be missing that week. That is going to be...
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one.
Oh, the week after Groundhogs?
Not this coming week, but the week after.
February
the Case
23rd.
women and Oberlin women are gone.
Oh, Oberlin women.
And that also means coaches.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of the men's teams have tournaments.
I don't think that weekend. Definitely not the Case men.
But yeah, that'll be interesting.
Are there any other... There aren't nearly as many other men from other colleges that are currently students, right?
I don't think so. Have you ever played in other... Because I know that in other places, winter leagues are played smaller fields, smaller numbers, or like continuous no-pull, like hockey-style subbing. And people have talked about doing stuff like that in our league, just so that, because if you only play for an hour, may as well maximize the time and play more. I don't know if you have any thoughts or experiences.
Well, I know like Winter League is always a smaller field. I feel like anywhere you go. But I think the cool thing about Cleveland is that this is your competitive league. I feel like most competitive leagues are in the summer, and maybe that's just because I only have a few experiences outside of this. But I think if you're going to have your really competitive league in the winter, you can't switch up too much, like from how the game is really played. That's just my opinion. But I feel like if we're like getting real serious, we don't want to have some wild rules that like the pick rule with the wire. That one I hate. I know that is a rule that we probably need to have, but I want to have it as much like Ultimate as possible if we're going to keep stats and care about winning.
So if it's as much like Ultimate as possible, you think the wire should just be a turnover?
I don't know. All I know is that wire is my cold least favorite thing in the entire world.
Yeah, don't worry. I've been there.
The stupid pull the wire thing. That's like 4 times a game for my team.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my least favorite thing about League. I just decided.
That's after I told Lynch again that nobody ever pulls it into the middle. And then Cole did it.
Cole's
twice.
like, watch this. I think he aims for it now because he can.
Well, the wire used to be just a turnover.
Just a straight turnover.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, never mind. I'm happy then.
Yeah,
And I think that it was like got changed 50% because of me, because I complained so much after turning it over so many times.
Yeah, I don't think it was really even that much of an issue until it came around.
We were really happy to see Amir have Amir's turnovers went from 8 a game to 1 a game once we changed the wire rule.
All right.
Any other questions for Jackie? Jackie, any other thoughts right now? We're going to go into next week's games or next week's games.
Let's do it.
Okay. Very cool. So this Friday is Groundhog's Day, which is an overnight tournament held at the Spire Institute in Geneva, the home of one of the basketball children.
What? One of them lives there?
Leangelo Ball, or whichever
He lives
one.
there?
He goes to the Spire Institute. He plays basketball there.
Oh, what?
It's also a Paralympics training facility. Maybe a regular Olympics.
I didn't know
training
any of
facility,
these things.
It's massive. It's
That's
huge.
cool. I did know that, but
Anyway, so there's no Winter League this week is the takeaway from that. But when we come back, we have Tina versus Andrew. Jackie, what are your thoughts on that game?
Tina's going to kill me, but...
Before you say anything,
Oh, okay.
Case men are gone?
yes, Case men are gone.
Case men
Okay.
are gone.
But that is
They were
for,
also gone this past week.
right, and that
Yeah,
is
but it was
for
this
both
green.
teams. That's I think that's
Sorry.
excuse you. I think it's 3 men for each team.
Oh, Tina's losing people too.
Right. Tina loses Kunal, Longo,
Adam?
and Adam. Is Adam the third on that team?
I don't know.
Okay. It might be Adam. I don't remember for sure who the third is. And then Andrew loses Andrew, Kennelly, and Ethan.
Well, I think this one really comes down to pickups, and I don't want Tina to kill me, so I'm gonna say she's gonna edge it out by 1. I think they're getting their groove. They're gonna
pick up Young G again.
Yeah.
Joe?
I'm gonna take Andrew because he's beaten me most recently. I think I might have done that. No, I haven't played Tina yet, but I think I might have in all my picks always picked the team that beat us the last week, and that I might be like over in those picks. So we'll give it another try here. Gonna pick Andrew.
Libby?
I'm gonna go with Andrew as well. I think that Sharon and Evan will be able to maintain a little bit more. I don't know. Composure, yeah.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you and say that this game is going to be a turnover fest. It's going to be a mess, and Tina's team will prosper.
They've been preparing for the first half of the season to win games like that.
Yeah, they're old hat for them. Game 2 is Gurgat versus Felipe. Joe, who do you think?
I mean, you got to take Gurgat. They're the heavy favorites considering their big win over White last week.
Boo.
And, Felipe's tough loss to Purple last week. So, yeah, for sure. Gurgat's a heavy favorite there.
Felipe has a few case guys.
He's got at least one in Zach, but Zach didn't go to their last tournament, so I don't know how much he's traveling. I think he's taking the MCAT or something, so he might not be traveling with the team until he finishes with that something. Could be making that up. But so he might be there. I don't remember if they have another case guy or not. Maybe Griffin will have a good game for that team instead of against me, and that might be enough for them. But it's gonna be a tough one.
Libby, who do you got?
I'm gonna go with Gurgat too. I think that they're really hitting their stride, especially if they're gonna have their whole team there.
Jackie?
Yeah, I don't really think you can't go with Gurgat right now.
And I agree. Okay, yeah. It won't even be close. Game 3 is Lynch versus Jackie. Which of us would be the most unbiased to present first? Libby?
I think me.
All right. Jackie, who do you think's winning this game?
All right, guys. I really think that White is going to just come into their own and beat Power Team. I think Power Team has proved that they can be beaten this past week.
By winning?
By almost losing. And we have a new strategy of not turning it over. So watch out.
You're probably going to have to score at least 10 points. So
how many we score last week?
Not 10.
Oh, man. That's fine. We were missing Danu. He's at least 12 scores.
Wait, are either of these teams missing people that we know of?
Yeah, Blue will be missing Casente and
Possibly Zoe.
Possibly
Zoe. And maybe Ellis, but you never know with him.
True.
So who do you got, Joe?
I'm gonna take Jackie as well.
Hell yeah.
I'm ready to see Power Team toppled. Jackie solidify her spot in the playoffs, I assume, although I haven't done the math.
Yeah, I think a win for Jackie. Probably.
I mean, let's be honest. We're solidified.
Yeah, I mean, a lot would have
you
to
say
happen
that.
for you. Yeah. All right. Let's
give a quick history lesson.
Memory lane to the Rasheed Wallace Technical Institute.
The white team from last season.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
just don't let your best 2 players damage the same ligament.
Okay, all right. We're going to stretch next game.
Team warm-ups.
Yeah.
Libby, who do you have?
I've got to take Jackie too.
Oh, I love this.
Let's go.
After
Brad's taking notes.
After that
I've been
close-
tracking.
close loss.
Joe, actually, I could go back to see how wrong you were.
I mean, I know I took Jackie this past week
Yeah.
after they beat us 2 weeks ago.
You did?
I can't remember further back than that, so.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember who you...
Sorry, we can sit here for 5 minutes while you look through
Wait,
this.
Libby, talk about why you think my team's going to win.
Talk dirty to me.
I mean, I think that, possibly missing those people will, really hurt Lynch's team. I think that they have some, key pieces of both their offense and defense in Ellis, Casente, and Zoe. I don't know. I think that, as long as your team will be able to apply the pressure that makes them kind of hold the disc and lose some of the flow that they've had in the first couple weeks. Just for those completions you're talking about.
Hell yeah. I'm turned on right now.
The easy Cole matchup should be a fun one too. I'm excited for that one. I think both of those guys are going to be trying to give their best.
I think Cole will have fun with it.
Wait, is this a late game?
It is the third game.
Cole's going to be drunk.
I think I'm going to have to go with Lynch,
Wow.
to the surprise of everyone.
Crowd lets out a collective groan.
Yeah, we haven't lost yet. There are more balloons to be had, more bats to be broken.
I haven't seen a bat get broken yet.
Only week one. We decided it might be a little too over the top. But then we only...
That's where you draw the line.
Then we tore off Lynch's shirt. We're just having fun. Having fun and winning. Game 4 is Libby versus Iris. Jackie, who do you got in this game?
I got Libby. I sure do. I have no questions in my brain. Pass.
Do I have to go? Because do I have to also break Joe's heart?
Give it to me, Brad. Come on.
Libby's team is better. Libby's team will win.
We should be hopefully back to full squad.
Okay, maybe Iris will win. Nah, I'm going with Libby.
Tell you one thing. If you need to pick up Evan for this game,
Yeah, you'll let me?
we actually won't. No, no way.
But we will be
Well, I mean, obviously I'm going to pick us, and we still have a shot to make the playoffs, and it's going to start by beating Libby. Still to be determined who we're going to be missing. I don't know if how Swanee's injury is doing. We're still going to be missing Daniel, Dima, and Milo. So probably have a pickup in place for the three of them basically. But we'll see. Maybe we'll finally put the pieces together when it counts and pick up a win. I'm sorry, not maybe. We are going to put the pieces together and pick up our first win and start
not
our
a moment
way.
too soon.
Yeah, just in the nick of time.
All right. That's all I got for this week. Anyone have any?
Do we want to talk about any of the other changes to the league?
We could talk about some other changes.
Now that we're at the halfway point of the league, just kind of check in and see how we feel things are going.
Well, Joe, you seem like you have a lot of opinions. So let's
All right. Well, so I think just to make sure we don't forget any, the big changes. So we can start with the change of day and locations. I think they're kind of related. So no longer on Saturday nights, now Friday nights, and in Rocky River instead of Northfield, which I think is better for most people.
Yes, it's better for the people that matter.
Which is
Ouch.
Which is me.
Which is Brad. But there are definitely people who chose not to play in the league this year who would have otherwise because of the fact that it's right after work on Friday and that it's further. So particularly people who live in like the Canton-Akron area, I think it's further for them.
So I can't speak to distance. I live one freeway exit away from this place. But I actually love it being on Friday much more than Saturday because I need structure in my life. Otherwise, I just don't eat. And a lot of years in the past, like on Saturdays, I would sit around all day or do nothing. And then at like 6 o'clock, I'd be like, oh shit, I got a game. I better eat something. And I'd eat like an entire frozen pizza or like.
What a weird life.
This is an interesting take. I'll tell you that
just you.
That conversation did not come up when we were making the decision about which
And then
location.
like my sleeping habits are bad. I was usually hungover even at like the 10 o'clock games. And now that it's on Friday, I go to work. I eat normally like an adult. I take a nap right after work. And I go to the game refreshed. And I'm ready to perform because I am an elite athlete.
I will say that I was actually in town last year during this time, but I didn't play because it was on Saturdays. Because I feel like Saturday is such like, one, in the opposite way of Brad, I let my day kind of go with the flow. So I always am like, what am I doing today? And then by the time like 8 p.m. rolls around, I am somewhere where I was not expecting to be doing something I probably wasn't expecting to do. And then I'm like, shit, now I got to leave, even though I want to stay doing this thing that I ended up doing. And then on top of that, I feel people are out of town way more often on Saturdays. Fridays.
That was a big, I think that was a big consideration. Though I don't know if it's really, I don't know. I haven't really been able to tell if it's made that much of a difference. But I mean, I know for like me personally, it's like, oh yeah, great. If I'm going out of town, I can leave Friday morning or Saturday morning instead of Friday night and still make it to league. But I don't know. That was, I think, the kind of a driving factor of, and even with hopefully some of, maybe some of the college tournaments that are closer by, if some college players don't want to, can make it to league and not leave until Saturday morning, hopefully just because I think absences and pickups are such a huge factor of the league, if we can, we're always trying to minimize that for sure.
I will say, to take it back to a more serious note, that the first time I was watching through Game of Thrones, I started doing it on a weekend, and I definitely skipped an entire night of Winter League just to watch Game of Thrones, which isn't a thing that can happen on Friday nights. I can't.
That was a more serious note.
I can't be in hour 12 of a binge watch on a Friday night.
Really getting a good glimpse into who Brad is this week.
Yeah, this is our look at it. Read my mind.
All right, next big change, which is related to the location change. The fields are significantly smaller. I don't know the exact dimensions, but I think probably 10 to 15 yards shorter and maybe like 5 yards narrower than the field at Northfield, which I definitely think has had a pretty big impact. I think the games have been much higher scoring. I think there's a lot more like quick points. And for me, being somebody that, I pride myself on being able to throw the disc far. So like the fact that now most of the league can just throw a huck from end zone to end zone is kind of diminishes my skill set a little bit. So I definitely like the bigger field, and like Jackie said, being closer to real ultimate. Yeah. I like better, but I don't know what are you guys? Everyone's thoughts?
I feel like I haven't noticed as much of a difference during the gameplay. I thought that the play would feel more crowded, and I thought that there would be a lot more deep looks, and I don't necessarily think that that's the case. I think the biggest difference that I can tell is with pooling and who is and isn't good at pooling.
Libby is really good at pulling.
Everyone except Libby.
So yeah, I'm a fan.
I think the only thing I've really noticed is that the end zones are very shallow.
They are very small. That's true.
The width of the field hasn't really, I don't think I've really noticed that as much. It's just the end zones seem super shallow.
Yeah, and the back comes up real fast,
real quick.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on the fields, the field that we play the 11 o'clock game on, that the rec league plays on, there is that mound from, I think it's a batting cage or something like that. I don't like that. That's it.
Tell us how you feel.
Well, I think that segues well into the next thing, which is the fact that we do have the two fields at once. So we're playing alongside Rec League and then also have the two games going on at once during the last time slot. So I think overall I've been pretty pleasantly surprised with how well it's worked out having Rec League there. I think my initial thought was that people would be busy playing and there wouldn't necessarily be a lot of people hanging out between the two leagues, just because you'd have more people playing but not necessarily more people hanging out. But that doesn't seem, it seems like people are showing, Rec League and competitive league players are showing up early, staying late to hang out and watch other games. So I think that that's worked out pretty well based on what I've seen.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that especially with the later games, I think we have more people as their games finish up. They just stay whether they're in Rec League or competitive league.
The only thing that happens because of this is we miss the first half of the game being filmed, which is not great.
Yeah,
honestly,
great.
It's fine. We probably didn't want that game filmed.
But the stats are going to be incomplete. It's a whole.
That's awesome.
There's a whole chain of events here.
That's true.
Maybe Tokar's simulations that he's going to run are going to be off as a result.
Do we actually know that the score is accurate? Maybe Jackie won 14-9.
That's so true. We should look into that.
Well, there's no way to know because the video is gone.
I think it's just off of trust with me.
Drop a line to the commissioner in one of the 18 surveys.
So the Summer League survey? Is that the one?
No, not the Summer League survey.
You're the commissioner, right? All right. And then the last big change was the gender ratio stuff, which we covered a little bit, but I think it's worth maybe talking about. We have the stats here in terms of goals, assists, and Ds for last year compared to this year, broken up by men versus women. So just looking at last year's, we had 14% of assists thrown by women, 28% of goals caught by women, and 19% of blocks were recorded by women. So again, that was all 4-2. So, if it was equal contribution, you expect about 1/3, 33% for most of those numbers. So the goals were close, but assists and blocks were, at about half of what you'd expect. And I think that sort of lined up with some of the criticism and some of the experiences of women in the league. And that was definitely a factor for why, the CDA and Lynch and Libby made this push to try to get more women and try to have more 3-3. And so this year we have 22% of assists, 41% of goals, and 23% of blocks by women. So again, the goals now are actually, I think, higher than what we would expect based on by 1%. So that's not really important.
Just considering that we're not 3-3
right
half of the time,
right.
even.
Which we're 3-3 about 1/3 of the time so far, I think. I'm not 100% positive that was correct, but I think we're 3-3 about 1/3 of the time. And so we'd expect if it's a random chance of any person throwing a goal or catching a goal, you'd be at about 40% for women, contributions from women. So the goals are at 41%. Assists and blocks are still quite a bit below. I think we talked about this a little bit before recording as well, but there are certainly a lot more inexperienced women in the league compared to men in terms of, there's 5 or 6 case rookies, I think. There's 1 or 2 Akron rookies. So, I think that's definitely going to contribute just because they're probably less likely to throw a bunch of assists. But I don't know. I mean, I know that from talking to a few people, people seem to be having women, I should say, seem to be having better experiences in terms of feeling like they have more space to cut and they're getting thrown to more and feel like, sort of more a part of the general team, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the feedback that we've gotten to relative to last year. now, kind of across the board, I think more women feel more involved in gameplay, which is really what we're going for. And I know that there's also been, I think, a little bit of irritation with going with all the 3-3 because there are so many more men on each team. There's 5 women and 8 men, and so it's kind of trying to find that balance of going 3-3 as much as you're able, but we still don't want to screw anyone out of playing time, and so. I think there's still improvements that can be made, and obviously we want to get to that point where we can have 6 men, 6 women on each team, and just be 3-3 the whole time. But we'll see. Hopefully we can get there in the next couple years.
Something I think that I know we don't have stats on, but I think would be cool to see is actually just touches on the disc, because I think that we would see a lot bigger disparity between men and women with just touches. I think that from games that I've noticed, I don't know if it's because of the way plays are called or what, but I think I see men taking the first couple looks, and then I think the reason women have more goals in comparison is because I think since they're not getting those first looks, they're stretching downfield, waiting for things that open up after the men do their thing. And this is something I noticed on my team and other teams. And it's hard to switch, because I know a lot of people just have that innate sense of confidence. So they're I'm going to go cut to the disc now. And that I think that's fair to say it's more generally male dominant. And I feel like a lot of women kind of stay back until it's kind of their turn to be called up. And I don't know how you fix that exactly, but I definitely think that is something that I've noticed.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I think being able to play more 3-3 helps with that a lot too, because all of that stuff is exacerbated by a significant amount when you're playing 4-2. So I think that is definitely part of what has led to some improvements. But yeah, there's definitely still more room for improvement.
I think a big, where the CDA and the league, really needs to focus getting more women is non-college women players, because, we have a lot more women playing, but it's a huge portion of them is college. And so there are still so many weeks where if there's a college tournament, that we're still so short on women, and so then that's a whole week that we can't go. A lot of teams aren't able to go 3-3, and so I think trying to get more women in the community that have either just played other sports or not necessarily still in a college program, maybe high schoolers, things like that, is where we can really focus efforts.
Thanks, Libby.
Yeah.
Moral compass, Libby Lehman.
All right, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, our short episode went, I think, longer. I think this has been the longest episode. Like we said, this Friday there's no league. Next week there will be a very special episode. Do we want to talk about some of our ideas? Maybe have people send in?
Let's keep it a surprise.
If you have ideas for episodes, then feel free to send them our way. It's the Lookoff podcast at gmail.com or Twitter at @the_lookoff. So if you want to be our next guest, all you have to do, you can ask Jackie, is like one of our tweets. all 3 of us will immediately follow you, and there's a pretty good chance you'll get invited to be on the podcast.
That is exactly what happened.
So if you have ideas for stuff we could do that's non-Winter League related, we have a couple ideas, but we're definitely open to hearing more.
There's also a Summer League survey that's being circulated. So we're hoping to, incorporate maybe some more positive changes into that league and hopefully make it as good of an experience as we think competitive Winter League is. So if you have thoughts, reach out to us and I'll make sure you have the survey.
You probably already have it.
Check your spam.
one of the 15 emails from me, probably.
Jackie, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, I do. Iris's PA program has a fundraiser on Saturday.
Dive bar?
Dive bar. So Pinecone just texted me about it during this podcast. So
Oh, all right.
everyone be there for Iris because she needs something right now.
She's not getting it. We're
Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, wherever podcasts are found. Shop at the Big Salad. Promo code Lookoff. That's all. Anyone? Anything else? We got it.
Nope, that's it.
All right. Looking you off till next week. Brad Kotecki for Jackie Matonis, Joe Mama, and Libby Lehman.
See ya.
Bye.